Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurjamila Ramadhani. I'm from class Biology C. Number 1. Explain how the main foundation that the Prophet laid down in building Islamic civilization in detail each point and how is it relevant to our life today. First is the theological foundation. When Muhammad arrived in Medina, the first thing he did was build a mosque. The construction of this mosque teaches a value of optimism that will be realized if their togetherness. When they arrived in a new country, the establishment of mosques gave Muslims an optimistic spirit to lead a better life after the hijrah. Mosques not only teach the importance of ritual worship but also teach the importance of social worship as a real form of Islamic mission, namely crying out change and the empirical level he brought. The second foundation is morality. Muhammad always emphasized the importance of morality. One of them, honesty. In modern parlance, dishonesty is known as intelligence, he said. Without honesty, patience is an important morality for Muslims to follow into life, to live this life carefully. Mutual love is also a priority. Compassion becomes a binder both in the internal context of the fellow Muslim and the inner context of the Ummah. The last foundation that is put into forming a government is social political. During his 10 years in Medina, Muhammad thus built the main principle needed to build this community is the path of deliberation. Deliberation and exchange of opinions are the doors of glory and the doors of blessing. This deliberation system provides deep inspiration for the journey of Islamic countries. The mosque can be a place of choice when conducting an important deliberation. Relevance into their life can be a relationship that can be built with government of politics. Optimism in building mosques can also be linked to build infrastructure at this time. Number 2. Explain what change the Prophet made in building the city of Medina. How is it relevant to our life today? Build a mosque as a center for worship and da'wah. Build the people's economy by building a market not far from the mosque. Bring together the Mujahideen and Ansar and produce the Medina and non-Muslim in Medina. Its relevance to their life is that Medina is a picture of ideal city, the city of Medina, which was built by the Messenger of Allah with mutual respect and mutual care, has made this city to this day a safe city known as Madinatul Munawwarah, or city filled with the light of truth. Medina became a benchmark in building a safe and peaceful country. The love for knowledge instilled by the Prophet until now continue to grow among the people of Medina to make it a big city in the field of agriculture and commerce, which the Prophet developed until now. The continues to grow even today. Two famous Prophet deaths are also the most expensive. Number 3. What is the Medina Charter? Explain the most important contents of the Medina Charter. What was behind the emergence of Medina Charter? 10. Who relevant the Medina Charter in this context of human life today? The Medina Charter is a document compiled by the Prophet Muhammad, which is a formal agreement between himself and Yathrib tribes, later named Medina in 6022 Masehi. The contents of the Medina Charter is statement that Muslim and non-Muslim in Medina are one nation, and Jews and Christian and harassment. 47 article regulate the political system, security, freedom of religion, as well quality before the law, peace, and defense. The background is that there was a fight between the two tribal groups in Medina, and at least four major wars had occurred, namely the Samud War, the Hittite War, and Ubud as well. Hundreds of victims have fallen from both sides. Therefore, 2 years before Hijrah, the Prophet Muhammad was often contacted by several figures from Yathrib, both from the Aus and Khazraj tribes. Although the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had many enemies in Mecca, he was still famous for his reputation as Al-Amin, an honest and trustworthy person, and had resolved disputes regarding the laying of the black stone during the restoration of the Kaabah. The tribal ladies in Yathrib realized that the socio-political situation in the city was in crisis, so acquired a judge or arbitrator who was able to resolve the disputes between the two major tribes, and they then agreed the Prophet Muhammad was a worthy and capable figure to be the arbitrator to resolve the conflict. At the same time, the struggle of the Prophet Muhammad Da'wah in Mecca also reached a dead end. Therefore, Rasulullah invited the Muslims in Mecca, who were still in small numbers, to migrate to Yathrib or Medina. It's relevant in today's life, namely creating interreligious harmony in Indonesia. The principle has been regulated in such a way. Various regulations have been prepared by the government to be realized. The rules not much different from the rules contained in the Medina Charter. Number 4. Tell us some evidence about the Islamic civilization, prosperity, and why did collapse there. What are the factors that lead to the collapse of Islamic civilization can rise again? Evidence of Islam was victorious. Islam was victorious during the Abbasiyah period, and the development of Muslim civilization in the Abbasiyah period we cannot get from the teaching of the Quran and Sunnah. Islam is very important in science. Departing from this teaching, several Islamic leaders in the classical period viewed science as an advance of civilization. One of the famous centers of world civilization in classical times was the reign on Harun al-Rashid until his son al-Ma'mun. The capital of the Abbasiyah Caliphate was transformed into a center of government that progressed civilization for the world community. Many outstanding Muslim scientists operated at that time. The prison of Baghdad is like an oasis for scientific in classical times. So is it not surprising that people from all over the world flocked to Baghdad to seek knowledge there? Scientific progress is also accompanied by progress in the theoretical sector and the tax system. Factors causing the collapse of the Abbasiyah dynasty. Internal factor caused the stagnation of Islamic culture in the region of the Abbasiyah Daulah was because power was controlled by weak and powerless leaders. In the hands of powerless rulers, central politics can work as they should. The economy cannot develop, and they are also unable to overcome Shia, Sunni, and other conflicts, which then lead to prolonged conflict. Although something that many are the cause of the decline of the Daulah Abbasiyah, such as the vast power or the lack of a state's budget. The most influential ones are caused by the appointment of weak and powerless leaders and the many conflicts that have occurred. all that is the cause of nation will be lost and disappear if the leader who is sworn in is strong person and can run all game. External factor is historians have classified into external factors that contribute to the decline of the Abbasiyah dynasty, namely the existence of crusade and attack by the Mongols. What must be done so that Islam can rise again? First, build a established knowledge. Second, build deep faith. Third, build a strong ukhuwah. How the rebuild Islamic civilization? Building the adab of Islam can make that person also awake. Get to know yourself better and know your rights and obligations. So that it can rebuild Islamic civilization, build deep faith, build a strong ukhuwah. With this understanding, it's not appropriate for a human to be arrogant toward others. All are weak and helpless before Allah. Everything can only be strong when trying themselves in a knot of brotherhood wrapped in a faith in Allah. Number 5. What lessons can you take from the history of Islamic civilization? What attitude should we take to overcome the difference of opinion in history of Islamic civilization? Lessons that can be learned in the history of Islamic civilization are that we can get information and understanding about Islam culture in the past and can be used. We can sort and choose aspects that can be used as lessons from both positive and negative things, and we can think creatively, chronological and sequentially about the history of Islamic civilization with the knowledge that has been understood and studied. The implementation or application in today's life, we can think more and can consider which of these things can be useful for the present life and the life that will become later, and also more alert to do action that will have an impact on life to come. Thank you for attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.